arrest. They don't do things like that. They just do it when they have justifiable rage. They would never pick on an innocent person of none color.
Michael, I saw Watts. I was there. I was driving right through the town, going to a Dodgers game on my motorcycle the night before it happened. I saw the Rodney King riots. I've seen it all in L.A.
And you hear the president pushing more rioting. Isn't that what you're saying?
Exactly. He's not.
Listen to what this slick Satan said again and again and again. Satan didn't say this a year ago before the riots. Satan didn't say this a year ago before there was an epidemic of killing police by minorities. By the way, listen to what Satan said this weekend.
That sense of unfairness and powerlessness has helped to fuel the kind of unrest that we've seen in places like Baltimore and Ferguson.
You
and
lying, you liar.
It has many causes.
You
from
evil
a basic
liar.
lack of opportunity to
bull crap,
unfairly targeted by police.
Liar! Unfairly targeted by police. You know, last night I watched the show about split-second decisions that police have had to make over the years. It was super well done. It showed one policewoman in Minneapolis who had to respond to a call for a black man who was threatening his wife and daughter. Her partner got shot in the face. She had to do a shootout with the guy. She luckily shot him and they hadn't killed him after a shootout. The black family loved her because she saved their life. She was white, by the way. Then there was another hero cop who was given an award in Southern California. 26-year veteran, Hispanic, had to go to a situation where a Hispanic male was holding an Hispanic female who was pregnant with a gun to her head, and he took one shot after a yelling match with the perpetrator and shot him one shot in the head and killed him. And he didn't want to do it. No. It's not about missed opportunities. It's about evil thugs who are using rhetoric like this to get away with virtual murder. That's my opinion. There's nothing about failed opportunities, because if it was true, Barack Obama never would have gotten where he got. If this country was as racist as Obama says it was, how do you explain that he's president? If the country was as racist as he says it was, how in the hell did Al Sharpton wind up where he is? Shall I go down the list? How did Oprah Winfrey get where she is if there's no opportunity? It's all a big lie.
White guilt.
It's a horrible thing to watch. I would expect this from a low-grade junior professor at Harvard University to get away with this kind of lie. But when you see this thin man, who is clearly Satan himself, pushing the same rhetoric after police are getting killed, you have to ask yourself, when in the world will this country finally stand up and demand that he stop it and be required to apologize to the police for this epidemic of police killings? It's sickening, Rudy. It's very, very dangerous. Thanks for the call. I don't want to get more agitated than I am. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, let's say you're a millennial and you have no idea what you're listening to. You're listening to the truth, the simple truth, the God's honest simple truth of what's going on in your country. And I want to remind you that other countries have fallen while the sky was blue and the clouds were white. Dance parties went on. Lawns were planted. Babies were born. Grandparents died. People went on vacations. People played sports. But, you know, at the same time all that normal life was going on, there were evil men and women who were trying to destroy their societies, literally trying around the clock to destroy everything that was good about their country. Listen to this speech and tell me which side you think this man is on. Listen to it again.
That sense of unfairness and powerlessness has helped to fuel the kind of unrest that we've seen in places like Baltimore.
You lying to...
And New York. It has many causes, from a basic lack of opportunity to groups feeling unfairly targeted by police.
Liar. How could the police take this? Now, I want to segue, when I come back from the break, into a book that came out that's not mine, entitled The Double Life of Fidel Castro. It was written by Juan Reinaldo Sanchez, who was his personal bodyguard for 17 years. The man was a skilled assassin, a skilled martial artist in 3 different fields of martial arts, and he was Fidel's #1 man. This explosive book will make your hair stand up, because Castro lived a simple soldier's life in the public eye while leading a luxurious dictator's life in private. So why am I telling you about this? Why? Because he stole the entire country from the people. And he stole not only the people's freedom, but he stole all the money of the entire nation. How did he get away with it? Well, through terror, #1. And #2, because he had the most phenomenal propaganda machine in history that the world had ever seen. They created the image of the simple man, but he wasn't the simple man. What this man says in this expose, in the revelation of the state secrets, are the many sides of Fidel Castro and how he got away with this, what he did to people. He mainly used a propaganda ministry of the type of propaganda machine that Obama has. You may not see the parallels immediately, but it's worth looking at, and I can't read the whole book to you. I'll read it to you, one paragraph. Few could surpass Fidel Castro in matters of disinformation. As the history books record, when American journalists secretly went to interview him in the mountains of the Sierra Maestra, the guerrilla fighter would mastermind a perfectly staged scene. This master of the art of illusion would make his soldiers move around every which way, and that in the background so as to create the impression of a mass of people, making his interlocutors believe that his rebel troops were far more numerous than they really were. Well, he went on, after he conquered Cuba, to manipulating public imagery about himself later on in life. And so the people thought he was a simple soldier who led a quiet life. But according to this man, that's not true. They said he was an accomplice to drug traffickers, and his personal life was that of a king, not of a simple man. But moreover, that he stole the country from the Cuban people themselves. Now, what does it have to do with Obama? Everything and nothing. It has everything to do with Obama because he has a propaganda machine unlike anything I've ever seen since Germany in the 1930s. It is a seamless propaganda machine that was perhaps given away a little bit last week when we saw the story about George Staphylococcus working with the Clintons. He's a Democrat plant, as is Chris Matthews and so many others. I'll go on when I return right here on the Savage Nation.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
My Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust to protect my wealth. Call 800-BUYCOIN. Well, the old adage, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, hits home with Al Sharpton's daughter, who has a $5 million sprained ankle lawsuit against New York City. Dominique Sharpton, unfortunately for her and her wonderful father, posted pictures to Instagram showing she completed a difficult mountain climb in Bali, Indonesia, even though her $5 million sprained ankle lawsuit says that Sharpton Jr. still suffers debilitating pain after twisting her ankle in a street crack in Soho last year. Can you believe this? Can you believe this? Here's another one. A general, one of our best generals, a 2-star Air Force general, a lifer, a great man, mentioned God at a National Day of Prayer task force speech. He mentioned God, and he said his ability to fly these planes is because of God. As a result of this vermin, Mickey Weinstein, who I believe should be found out. Look, I have such contempt for Mickey Weinstein, CEO of the Civil Liberties Group, the Freedom Military Religious Freedom Foundation. If you were looking for Satan in human form, a man by the name of Mickey Weinstein could be central casting in my estimation. He is demanding that Mark Welsh, the general, should be fired for mentioning God in a speech. You know, enough is enough. I'd like to see Delta Force visit Mickey Weinstein after hours and ask him why he hates God so much.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Blue Monday, how I hate Blue Monday. Got to work like a slave all day. Here comes
For those of you who were or are Mad Men fans, that seems to be the number one topic for today, in addition to the political stuff, because Mad Men was sort of a political television melodrama that was extremely entertaining at times and extremely grating at times and boring at times. The ads drove me insane most of the time. And no, I'm not going to buy a Chrysler despite the ads, incidentally. The only Chrysler I ever owned that I liked was a Lincoln Town Car, and they stopped making them, so what's the good of it? But anyway, here we are. Questions. Al Sharpton's daughter sprained her ankle. She's suing the city for $5 million. You hear this? And then she films herself on Instagram after a mountain hike. Unbelievable what this world has become. We're talking about my book, Countdown to Mecca, and what you think of it. And many people love my character, Saul Minsky. We're talking about the real Fidel Castro and how he has more in common with Barack Obama than you may think. We have asked the question, do you believe the U.S. Army Delta Force really killed an ISIS chieftain, captured his wife? Well, if it's true and not just propaganda, where are the pictures? I mean, you would think that since the military is trumpeting this great success, even though another city has fallen to ISIS, and of course this is just a propaganda stunt, even if it's real, it was just a propaganda mission by Obama to show something good that he did as great commander-in-chief in between golfing and wrecking the country. He hasn't stopped ISIS, has it? They're taking one city after another. They're raping their way across Iraq and Syria. They're destroying ancient archaeological sites that can make you weep if you understand what these vermin are doing. These vandals of the ages. The world should be outraged by what they're doing. Kidnapping, raping, pillaging, hurting children, cutting their heads off, and wrecking ancient art. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. So what? In the middle of this, Obama sends another impotent half measure. U.S. Army Delta Force goes in and allegedly, and I say allegedly because it looks like it could be Capricorn 1 to me. Who knows if it really happened? Let's say it happened. Well, did it stop ISIS from their rampage? No. What we need is a massive mission of B-1 bombers raging around the clock where you hear them roaring overhead in America for 72 hours, for a week, for 2 weeks, where they're taking off from every air base in America, loaded with bombs, B-1 bombers, buzzing in the middle of the night to wipe the vermin off the planet once and for all. Instead, we're just an impotent fool of a nation under a Satan in the White House who is more interested in destroying the domestic world than conquering the worst planet, the worst the planet has seen since Adolf Hitler. Only this time, Adolf is not speaking German, he's speaking Arabic. And this time he's not holding Mein Kampf, he's holding another book that he believes in. You get it? Okay, biker bloodbath in Texas. Waco gang fight. 170 arrested. All right, that's a problem. Terrible problem. Nothing more I can say about it. Headline, Drudge Report, Kerry calls for more internet laws, global system. No kidding. What else would a shallow, empty shell like Kerry want but a control of the media? Don't you understand what's at stake? I made a comparison in the last hour between Fidel Castro controlling his image, controlling the country through imagery, through propaganda, and Obama doing the same. So what do you think the gang that's running the world needs to do next in order to secure their grip on the heart of mankind? In addition to having planted the most bloodthirsty socialist pope imaginable, a bloodthirsty psychotic, by the way, I'll raise the stakes. This pope is not a religious figure at all. He is Karl Marx with a skull cap and a cloak. This pope is Karl Marx reincarnate. And this pope now says that Fidel Castro and Raul Castro are so wonderful that America should have relations with them. And Obama, of course, was waiting for that message. And Raul Castro, a terrorist for the last 45 years, has ruled that island like a prison camp, stolen everything from the people. And we're told that Raul Castro himself, a diehard lifetime Marxist, said, this pope is so good that I'm thinking of going back to the Catholic Church. What does that tell you? At the same time, Obama continues to fan the flames of race warfare in America, giving a speech over the weekend, again justifying the thugs in Baltimore, the thugs in Ferguson, the thugs in New York City. again attacking the police while police are being killed around the country. There is a